Hey friends, welcome back to a new video. So I'm about to start a new full-time job, and with that, it also means that my monthly incomes will be higher than before. I really want to use this opportunity to be able to save more, to take care of myself when it comes to going towards retirement, and hopefully also be able to retire a little earlier. But I'm also already feeling the lifestyle creep coming in really slowly and very unconsciously. Once I got the job offer confirmation and signed the papers, I realized that I started thinking about things I could upgrade, things I could get, and I really caught myself in this cycle of, wait a minute, I think the lifestyle creep is already setting in even before I've officially started the job. And that is the really scary thing with the lifestyle creep. It comes in so sneakily, and sometimes we don't even notice that that is what is happening to us. So the lifestyle creep, or the lifestyle inflation, it basically means that you are inflating your lifestyle, and with that are spending more day to day because you start earning more. So once your income kind of goes up, the amount that you spend also starts going up. You can start inflating your lifestyle, enjoying more luxury things, upgrading things, and just living a more fancier life the more you earn. You basically start consuming more and more expensive stuff. Now, there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that per se, but the thing is that we do that very unconsciously. We don't necessarily choose that lifestyle consciously. And often the reason behind this is a lot of social pressure, trying to keep up with everything else, keep up with people's expectations and our image of who we are, what we can afford, how much we're worth. And oftentimes this leads to many people then living paycheck to paycheck. Since you're spending more, even though you're earning more, you're not really saving more, and you have to constantly keep up with working more, trading in your time for money, because you have to upkeep the standard of your lifestyle. And that's the thing, once you inflate your lifestyle, it's really hard to go back to this more simple life that you used to live. Ideally, we want to really be saving as much as possible, investing that money, also saving and investing money for ourselves when it comes to retirement is also really important, since when we're older, we're not going to be earning money, and we have to find a way to be able to provide for ourselves when we're older. And best case scenario, also have to work less in our lives, so be able to retire earlier because we have saved up that money and don't need to trade in our time for money anymore. Now, this all might sound like you have to starve yourself, withhold yourself, and live this very bare life, and that is not what this is about. It is about cutting out the excess, and this is where minimalism comes in, where it's all about cutting out what we don't need. We're cutting out things that don't truly bring us value. Oftentimes we falsely believe that these upgrades and these more luxury trips and purchases are going to make us happier. But what we're really confusing here is pleasure with happiness. Yes, it will bring us pleasure in the moment, but it will not add to our overall happiness in life in any way. This rush and this excitement that you feel with this new and more expensive and luxurious purchase will definitely go away. You will get used to this more luxury standard lifestyle and start looking towards an even more luxury way of life. So that feeling never gets satisfied, and you will always keep chasing the next best thing. So inflating your lifestyle, buying nicer things won't make us happier. We will just end up spending more money and then having to work more because of that. Happiness and pleasure is something that we often confuse. Pleasure is something that comes from outward things, from outside circumstances, while happiness is something that truly comes from within us, that can be achieved regardless of circumstance or things or people surrounding us.
I love this quote from the Dalai Lama that sums it up really nicely. Happiness that depends mainly on physical pleasure is unstable. One day it is there, the next it may not be. True happiness relates more to the mind and the heart.
So how can we avoid the lifestyle creep if this is something that we don't want? And I certainly don't want to become susceptible to this lifestyle inflation. Now, I've already made a video talking about concrete tips and ways to look out for, things to look out for when it comes to lifestyle inflation, the lifestyle creep that often starts settling in very slowly and sneakily. So be sure to check out that video if you haven't seen that. I'll link it down below or here in the cards. Now, today I wanted to talk about concrete plans I've made for myself because I've realized that I'm starting to fall into this lifestyle inflation path. And so this is kind of like a video diary for myself, or plans for myself that I want to share with you guys, because I think that this will probably also be helpful for a lot of you as well. So the first thing I did was definitely look at what is my biggest trigger or my biggest weakness. And through observing my thoughts, I've noticed that the biggest thoughts or the most tempting thing I start thinking about is upgrading my things. So I've already thought about things like upgrading my vacuum, because I'd love to have a cordless vacuum that is so much more smaller and compact and easier to handle, and we can store it up here in the apartment instead of in the basement where we have to run up and down the stairs. Then I've also thought about upgrading our sound system because it just isn't working 100% as it used to. And it's just the little things like those. I've been keeping a list in my mind of things I would love to upgrade. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with upgrading things, but this is where the lifestyle creep starts. It starts very slowly and sneakily and innocently, but truthfully, you can upgrade endlessly. You can upgrade to a bigger house, a bigger or faster car, nicer things, and you could upgrade every single little thing in your house. And once you start with one thing, you will see the deficiency in another thing. And once you have half of your things all upgraded, the other half just looks even more shabby. And so you'll keep upgrading and upgrading, and there's no end to this. And again, as I said, you falsely have this feeling of this will just changing this one thing, upgrading this one thing will make me happier, will make my life so much easier. But in the end, we truly just get used to this new standard or this new lifestyle, and then it's not that exciting anymore, and we then again look for excitement in the next thing. It might seem like a good idea to upgrade in the moment, but in the long run, it won't make us happier. We will just keep the cycle going by upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. So instead, I want to shift my focus towards replacing. So if something's broken, then I can replace that instead of looking for upgrades. And maybe if, for example, my sound system does decide to completely break and it's not usable, it's not repairable, then with the new purchase, I can maybe think of an upgrade. Instead of going through the whole house trying to upgrade everything, I can think about an upgrade once the item breaks and I actually need to replace it. So this is where I'm shifting my mindset. Same with the cordless vacuum I'd love to have. Instead of wanting to upgrade that now, I'm focusing on replacing. So if someday the vacuum decides to break, then I can think about a potential upgrade. In essence, it's like a slower, more conscious, and more sustainable way of upgrading your things. This way, you're also focused so much more on finding the value in the things that you already have, and only once it's broken and you really need to replace it can you then look for something that might bring you even more value. Something that I definitely want to keep doing are my no-buy and low-buy challenges. They really help me keep me in check with all this consumerism, and it is something that I also personally find really fun to challenge myself in little ways like this, and it helps me to consume less and to be really conscious about what I am or am not buying. For example, this year I'm doing a only buying 15 items throughout the whole year challenge, and that really gets me thinking, do I truly need this? Does this truly bring me value, or is this only an item of pleasure in the moment, but won't really make a difference in the long run? I do have an area where I want to be a little bit more liberal with, and that is health. To me, health really is very important and is very priceless, and I want to start as soon as possible and as young as possible to really take care of my health. I don't want to have aches and pains and then start caring about my health. And that is an area I want to invest more in. So for example, things like supplements. I recently bought a ashwagandha tincture that really helps with stress, and I'm someone that sadly is very, very susceptible to stress. So I bought that to really try to take care of myself. Things like workout classes or purchasing more quality produce, organic produce. That is also something I'm really willing to invest in. All in all, I want to keep it very simple and not make it too complicated. So I've set up this very simple algorithm, you can call it. If I'm considering a purchase, I firstly ask myself, is this an upgrade? Is this something where I'm just trying to look for a fancier thing? If the answer is yes, then I will steer away from purchasing that. If the answer is no, I'll go to the next question. Is it for my health? If the answer is yes, then I can go ahead and purchase that if it's something that aids my health. If no, then I go into the next question, but do I truly believe this item will give me value? Even if the item is yes, I will still want to wait at least up to 3 days to truly be certain that this is something that is of value and that will bring value into my life. And if the answer is no, then of course I'll steer away from that purchase. Even if I think I will find value in the item, I still want to give myself time to calm down emotionally, since purchases often are so emotional, to wait 3 days, maybe even up to a week, and revisit the item and revisit the question of, will this truly bring me value? So these very simple rules, and I guess you could call this, of replacing instead of upgrading, and keeping up with my challenges and investing in my health are the guidelines that I'm setting for myself at this moment in my life to steer away from the lifestyle creep. And I have found that these questions have been really helpful for me when deciding whether to purchase something or not purchase something. Is this a lifestyle creep, or does this really make sense? And it is a moment in my life where I have to be very observational of my thoughts and of my actions, and to be really careful, because the lifestyle creep it just comes so quickly, and once you've gone into it, it's harder to come out of it. So let me know in the comments down below, have you ever struggled with the lifestyle creep? Is it something you're currently struggling with? If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos on living more consciously and healthily with less. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we can all avoid the lifestyle creep, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.